Hello! Today's episode is an introduction to boundaries. You are going to get the steps to overcome the fear of creating boundaries as a highly sensitive person. We have to reframe the idea that boundaries are mean or that they make us mean. Really, it's about learning to express your needs. It's that simple. But for many highly sensitive people like myself, it's easier to not appear to have any needs, right? So let's talk about the process of reconnecting with and listening to our inner voice and give you guys some usable tips on starting to express your needs and some resources to help. I'm Heather, a life coach and the host of Please Like Me. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so I wanted to mention that I have a free workbook for you to download on my website. It's going to be linked in the notes, and it's going to walk you through in more detail what we're talking about today, plus give you some wording examples that may help you to start to express your needs. And then next, I wanted to tell you about an amazing book called Setting Boundaries Will Set You Free by Nancy Levin, Levin. She really has kind and practical advice that's pretty easy to follow. It's easy to read. After a lot of reading, her book feels most aligned with my own highly sensitive spirit. We're talking about boundaries today and why it's best to start small. Imagine with me for just a minute. Don't close your eyes if you're driving, obviously. Okay, so this is you. You've been leading yourself through all of the resources, which opened your eyes to the extent that you keep your needs quiet, right? You realize, oh my gosh, I don't speak up. Wait, you can speak up? You learn about boundaries, you feel prepared, and you go for it. And let's say you really go for it, which means it was probably you being extra vulnerable and expressing your needs with a delivery that's clear and direct. And let's just say in this scenario that your vulnerability is met with a harsh reaction, maybe even abandonment or deflecting or even worse. It continues to get brought up for years to come. How do you feel when it's over, after that moment happens? I can tell you because that happened to me. I walked away feeling like, in general, I was a horrible person and that expressing my needs would always end up that same way. And that I will never, ever, and I mean never again, speak up like that. So the outcome in that scenario was not worth the risk that I took, is how I ended my perception of that whole situation. But what was the long-term effect of that experience for me or for other people? It was not great. So I did not experience any kind of lasting change from that. I had no increase in my self-worth or more healthy relationships. I did not experience in that moment how being open and vulnerable in healthy relationships should bring people closer together. There is a better way. It took me about a decade of study and practice and a great therapist to help me along the way. So here are some tips that I want to walk you through that you can find in the free workbook on the website. So let's just start at the beginning. I want to say before we dive into the topic that you are safe in this moment. So get present. Like, even if you're driving, what's something that you see? Maybe there's a tree, right? Oh, I see a tree. I see a street sign. You're at home. Okay, I see my computer. I see a desk. I see a book, right? Just start naming things in your present moment. Get where you are, be present, and know that this is a safe space, okay? There's no judgment. It's time for you to ask yourself, what do you really want? And I'm pausing. Like, really, what do you really want? What would make a huge impact in your life? And what smaller needs do you not express that can make each and every day just a little bit better? What do you need from other people? And what do you need from yourself? All really good questions. If you struggle with those, that's another topic to unpack, but just try to do your best and take a moment and think about your life, and if you could make changes in the way you express yourself or what you put up with, like what would those be? What do they look like? And after you've had some time to think them over, if you are in a place to write them down, if you want to pause and write those down, after you get that done, it is time to sort them out. Okay. I cannot stress this enough. We want to start small. So we have to figure out where are the small places to start, right? Going on the flip side of that, I think the easiest thing to stand out for most people is to determine what is the biggest, most life-changing need that you are most terrified to express. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know what it is, but you know what it is. You think, oh my gosh, if I could ever become that amazing version of myself, if I could stand up for myself, if I wasn't afraid of the repercussions, if I wasn't afraid I would lose them or that it would lead to X, Y, and Z, right? But it would make the biggest difference in your life. What is that one big, scary thing? That right there is going to be your Mount Everest. Okay? It is the top of your Mount Everest. So just like you wouldn't try to just show up and hike up Everest real quick with no training, no practice, and no equipment, it's better to build up to that highest level need as well. So same thing here. We're going to start small. Let's get some training in, right? Starting small not only helps to build your confidence, it's also going to provide you the experience you need to know what type of responses are typical in return. So if you've gone through most of your life putting everyone's needs above your own, there may have been seasons when doing that really served you and kept you safe. So, wherever you're at, the biggest thing is, first of all, don't beat yourself up. There's nothing wrong with you. And you did that. Again, it served you in that moment. And so we bless that and we release that, right? Putting the needs of others first was likely helpful in that scenario, but it isn't always helpful in every scenario as we move forward throughout our lives and into adulthood, right? And past those seasons. So for example, when we are little, we experience the world as very black and white. We tend to see things as either good or bad. There's no in between, right? But we all know there's a complex spectrum of good and bad. And we understand that as adults. But when you're little, this can cause you to label yourself as bad, to keep your caregivers as good, even when there may be some unhealthy dynamics at play that are not the fault of the child, right? Over time, this can create the belief and the experience that you are at fault or that you are bad, and this becomes your automatic response. When anything happens in your life, you think, oh my gosh, it's my fault. As if it's my fault or I'm bad, whatever that sounds like in your head. If that is your automatic reaction, it may be something to I highly recommend I highly recommend getting professional help to walk you through the process of learning to express your needs, as a trained professional can help you understand any larger dynamics and where they came from and how to heal. Starting small allows us to slowly release our attempts to control our environment. Yep, we don't express our needs as a way to control our environment and other people. So take my example from before. I never wanted to experience that again. So in every moment after that, where I stayed quiet and chose not to express my feelings and my needs, it was my attempt to prevent other people from hurting me that same way again. Giving up control, right? When we're trying to control those around us and stay safe, like releasing that control can be really hard, especially when it's combined with fear of conflict and past traumas that we all bring to the table. It's complicated, guys. It's complicated. So starting small allows us to experience healthy responses. Observe how people respond. Remember if you tuned into the first episode, we talked about how a really helpful tip is always just to pause. Same thing here. And that can be really hard when you want people to like you. We don't like the pause. But pause and observe how people respond. Starting small allows us to experience healthy responses. So observe how people respond. In my own personal life, as I began to heal, I eventually chose to try again at expressing my needs and my feelings and just starting small this time instead of so big. What that looked like, I remember the very first, it felt big to me at the time, but if you struggle, you know what I'm talking about. I told someone that invited me to an event, like, thank you for the invitation, but I wasn't able to come. And if you don't struggle with boundaries, you are probably really confused right now. But if you do struggle, you might feel this in your soul. You know what I'm talking about. When it's somebody you really care about and you want to be supportive of what they're doing, it's hard. But guess what? It was okay. They understood. And it gave me a win and like a whole new lease on life that I could start to express my needs and my feelings in safe places, and it was going to be okay. So, as life went on and people understood, and this was really the starting point in expressing my needs and getting a healthy response in return. So when it comes to all the resources out there, here's what I see that many of the books really miss the mark on, at least in my opinion. This is just my opinion. There's so much emphasis on the steps to take of how to create strong boundaries and, all of that stuff. That is there, but what seems to be missing for me was the duality of making such a change in my life. It's really portrayed when you read a lot of these resources. It's portrayed as a them problem, and the common advice that is being offered is that, depending on the reaction, that person's just a narcissist and you need to go no contact. I mean, really? This may be a little bit controversial as well, but I also think that narcissism is an overused term that I will be talking about in future episodes, that people are too quick to just diagnose anybody as being narcissistic. And are there narcissists out there? Absolutely. But are we healthcare professionals that diagnose them? No, we are not. And it is a spectrum, right? And so there's a lot of in between of what that can look like. So I will be teaching you all about that as well. But back to it, just the point is that everyone contains light and shadow, right? So I believe in a more open approach. How that relates to boundaries or expressing your needs is that if I express my needs in kindness and in love, and I end up with a negative outcome, expressing my needs did not cause it. So let me explain that. I'm just here to say that while it's not always easy, expressing our needs occasionally reveals what's always been in that relationship dynamic. I just didn't see it yet. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. Maybe less than a minute. Right? Those moments and those reactions, if it was done in love, just exposes what's already there. I was doing everything I could and including trying to shove my own feelings aside so that I wouldn't have to experience the truth. As an adult, we have to take a pause and reflect on our own part that led to our circumstances. And as a highly sensitive person, in my case, it's often that I didn't express myself, that I ignored my gut, and that I didn't feel worthy of more than what I was getting. So sometimes the truth of who people are and how little they value us just hurts, right? And experiencing that a relationship is more lopsided than we thought can be surprising, and it really is its own journey of grief. And that, my friends, can suck. It straight up sucks. When you want people to like you and you realize that they don't, or not near to the same level that you like them, this ingrained urge will be so strong to fix it, because that's what we do. But keeping your needs quiet and doing more to meet the needs of others can feel like a better option than sitting with the grief of reality in the pause, right? This is where help comes in. So you want to find a friend that's on a similar journey. Maybe somebody you can check in with. Hey, I said no to an invitation and I didn't die. I'm still here. We're still friends. Just somebody to kind of cheer each other on. Maybe you go get a coach or grab a counselor, find a therapist or a trusted person that can help you keep moving forward and encourage every step of your way into the life and the love that you are worthy of. Now, on my own journey, I'm expressing my needs at a higher level as time goes by, and now I'm able to give a pause and observe, and I'm starting to see changes and hard moments and sometimes even endings as tangible evidence of the inner healing and the inner work that I'm doing. As you change on the inside, a lot of times your life kind of begins to align on the outside as well. So instead of seeing these hard moments as, failures or hurts, I see it, when done in love, as alignment and growth. So we can't possibly go over every step today. This is a huge topic. So make sure to download your free workbook, to check out Setting Boundaries Will Set You Free, or whatever book or resource that you feel like is aligned with you and your personality and your style. And the most important thing that you can do is to take a step. One step. Even if you get the book, or, download the workbook, or search for a podcast episode, or whatever it is. Maybe you make a list of what some of your smaller boundaries are, and then your medium ones, and then that big really scary Mount Everest one, right? Doing these things, it's a way to show yourself that you are worthy of being seen and understood and valued, right? You're stepping into that. Over time, your life will change. Like a train track, when we start small and we gain loads of practice and slowly start working our way to expressing more important needs on one side of the train track. And then at the same time, do the inner work to heal on the foundation of undeniable worth on the other side. That together is going to take you where you want to go. And the question is, where do you want to go? Let me speak a little bit of life into you as we wrap up this episode. Sometimes it's hard to say these things like, oh gosh, let's, I am abundant, whatever. But it's a lot easier to have it spoken over you. So I'm going to speak over you as we wrap up. You are enough just as you are. You are worthy of healthy, loving relationships. You deserve just as much attention, love, and kindness as you give to others. You are a good person. You are so much stronger than you realize. It is safe to let go and release control. Letting go is an act of love. It is safe to see things differently. You are not your past. Now is the only moment you can experience. You have so much to offer the world. Everything you overcome will become a lighthouse to show others the way. And honestly, it is time for your inner critic to shut the F up. Whose voice is that anyway? I promise you it's not yours, but that's for another day. Again, feel free to hop on the website, download your free Baby Steps to Boundaries workbook, and we really just skimmed the surface today, and I hope you heard something that inspires you and helps you to feel seen, understood, and supported. If you do feel led to support my work, please like and subscribe and send it to somebody who you think it can help. I appreciate you.